crew, welcome to the Spiritual Social. I'm Lexi, your local light worker. I'm a tarot reader and an astrologer. Welcome to a very special reading on exploring your darker side. In this reading today, we are going to have a look at the nastier aspects of your personality. We are going to shed some light and we are going to provide some solutions and inspiration. We all have defects. We all have problematic aspects of our lives that we are trying to somehow contain or improve upon or learn from. All of us were born with specific Saturn, Mars, and Pluto placements in our charts, and traditional astrologers used to consider these planets as malefics. So, planets that would bring a rather negative, nefarious energy in your life so you can work through certain karmic lessons and grow spiritually. So I hope that this reading will be taken in good faith. I am going to put a positive, optimistic, healing twist on whatever messages come through. But I think it's important as part of our journey, our spiritual growth, and our self-awareness process to get in touch with the less savory aspects of our personality. I have here the god Horus, the Egyptian god of light, to shed light on whatever is happening in this reading. This space is protected. I am cleansing it with incense. This is called the moon goddess incense, and it's one of my favorite. It smells incredibly sweet. We have here the energy of Lord Ganesha, the one who helps us overcome dark, negative obstacles in life. And I'm just really excited to create this reading for you guys. You can see I have here different types of obsidian, snowflake, mahogany, pure obsidian, carnelian, and I also have here amethyst to help me cleanse this space, to help me balance out the energies. I also selected the candles in a specific way. We have blue, which is traditionally the color associated with masculinity, and pink, traditionally the color associated with femininity, so we can balance out masculine and feminine energy. And of course, here is a marker of my ascendant, Libra. So we have here the scales, the universal sign of justice, and again, a sign of equilibrium. All this being said, I just want to give you guys a great big hug. Thank you so much for your wonderful support, both on my short form readings on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you for being my members. You can join this channel and become one of my supportive members. I have a light and a solar crew. If you want to get extra perks as well, you can also become my Patreon. So thank you so much for your support. Head on over there and see all the beautiful perks that I have. I just introduced a new service. I'm going to release bloopers. Yes, I'm going to give you guys a more authentic, funnier, and sillier side of me. If you're not already cringing or feeling quite that my personality is silly already, head on over to Patreon and subscribe for as little as $2 a month to get extra perks. Anyway, all this shameless self-advertisement to the side, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being part of my soul family. Let me introduce to you the options. So I have here some cards. They are pretty large cards from the Dream Reading Oracle cards, linked in the description box below. So for group 1, I have here the card, The Truth. Remain authentic to your core values. Truth can be masked, so be objective when dealing with emotional issues. Address areas in your life that are not achieving your deepest truth. So that's for you, group 1. You also have the Grandmaster number 44. These are the Oracle and Tarot cards I already pre-shuffled for you all. So let's see. I have here for you, group 2, the Surrender card number 46. Let go of internal and external struggles in your life. Give up the fight to control others and situations. Relinquish your need to be right and surrender to a higher power. Okay, so that's for you, group 2. Then we have here for group 3, the Leadership card, a very Xena Princess Warrior vibe. You are no longer the supporting cast. You are the leading man or woman. Take the initiative and lead the way for others to follow. You will be judged by the company you keep and those you admire. Wow, okay. So that's for you, group 3. And finally, last but never least, we have here Healing, number 51 for you, group 4. Heal past wounds with forgiveness and awareness. By healing yourself, you can become a healing force to others. Physical healing can happen once your wounds have been confronted. Okay, So these are the options I place here in front of you. Feel free to see which one you feel drawn towards the most. Choose with your gut rather than just with your eyes, even though the options are quite visually enticing. This reading will have two parts. I will pull the cards and intuitively interpret them to see what messages come through, also from my empath's ability to tune into the cards' visuals and just the sense that I'm picking up on the story that the cards are telling. But then I will also read you the deeper messages from the specific booklets that these decks come with. So feel free to skip over the reading part if you don't have time, if you're not interested to find a deeper message. And feel free to stay here for the whole package if you truly want to do some really yummy inner work. So I hope that this helps. I hope it was clear enough, and I hope that you have made your choice. And if all of this has been completed, then let's jump to the next level. Let's figure out what you need to know about your darker side. Hi group 1, welcome to your reading. So let's explore your darker side in this reading today. Like I mentioned in the introduction, this reading has two parts. In the first part, I will show you the cards and read them intuitively, and in the second card, I'll do a deeper dive into the messages from the booklet. So to give you some additional information, if you want to do some deep inner work, feel free to skip over the second part if you feel so inclined. So we have here for you the card, the truth, number 44. So I see a couple of things already by the fact that you are drawn by this energy. I feel that you could have some very strong placements in your natal astrological chart in the sign of Libra or Leo. Why am I saying Leo? Because we see the peacock energy behind, and usually peacock is something I associate with Leos because they're very proud and they're very attractive. We also have the Grandmaster number 44, which is the numerological energy of being a very safe, secure, grounded foundation individual. So you're somebody that's very focused on building things in life. And it could be that you were drawn to this energy today because you're super curious about how can you build yourself right back up after a challenge? How can you defend yourself better? How can you figure out what your weaknesses are so that you can protect yourself from other people that may want you harm? So you're in a self-protective mode, I would say. Now let's see the cards that you got. So the tarot cards are the following. We have the High Priestess. We have the Seven of Swords. The Hanged Man. The Queen of Pentacles blocked. The High Priestess was blocked. Should I take reversals? I'm hearing yes, take reversals. Okay. We have here Presidio, detachment. And I'm picking up on the fact that there may be some romantic detachment. We have Hades or Pluto, the Lord of Riches and the Underworld. Equanimity, wisdom, and inevitability. We also have here Chimera, synergy. Okay, so you have gotten the dangerous aspect of the deep, dark, and dangerous oracle. And then we also have here gilded regret. Okay, I'm going to pull the camera a little bit backwards so you get to see all of them as I tell you the story that I find in them. I see here an individual that's very calculated. I feel that many people see you as somebody who can be quite cold-blooded. You could be the kind of person that has very lofty romantic dreams. You could be a person that loves people, you like to have relationships, but your darker side comes across as an individual that could say certain things and do certain things in order to manipulate other people to do her or his bidding. I see here an individual that oftentimes trades off their emotions and their intuition for reason. You could sometimes play the devil's advocate or like people that other people find very controversial just because you want to be unique, just because you want to be controversial. And in this way, you tend to irk and irritate a lot of the people around you. So I feel that oftentimes you see yourself as a very calm and collected and rational human being, but you don't know the fact that this kind of calm and collected energy that you exhibit is also hiding some passive aggressiveness. With the chimera energy here, I have the feeling that from time to time, there is a duality about you that is very hot and cold and can confuse your romantic partners especially. In love, I feel that you attract people through your beauty, through your balance, to your sense of symmetry and order. I feel that you're very polite, you're very sweet, people want to treat you right, they compliment you. There's something very effeminate or feminine about your energy. People want to be around you because it's so nice to feel you, to be next to you. They want to touch you. They want to look at you. You give them pleasure. But at the same time, I feel that there is quite a cold and calculated side to you. I feel that you very rarely let loose and show your emotions. And when you do, it's mostly anger. It's this kind of anger that could just overwhelm you. All of a sudden, you could snap. And people then see this other side of you that they end up becoming quite afraid of. Because of the contrast between you being cool, calm, collected, and very attractive, and then all of a sudden, the energy is flipped. So it may be that you have a Libra ascendant and your shadow zone is Aries, which talks about this violent outburst that could overwhelm you. And then all of a sudden you go back into being calm and rationalizing your emotions. Or it could be that you have an ascendant that is in Taurus and you may have a Scorpio shadow and there is Pluto somewhere in that chart. Maybe Pluto in Libra, Pluto in Scorpio. I'm picking up on these two astrological dualities of Taurus and Scorpio or Libra and Aries. I see here very clearly a person that is very careful about what they say. So many times the things that you say to people, they come across as people-pleasing or highly rehearsed. It's very hard for your romantic partners to trust you, mostly because of the fact that when an individual is very spontaneous with how they express their emotions, they come across as very genuine and authentic. But if you are a highly rational person that rehearses a lot of the things he or she has to say, rehearses the way they come across, controls every aspect of their public image, then people tend to push you away, or they tend to treat you in a more negative way as the relationship progresses with you, because they feel that they cannot trust you, that you want to take something from them, to steal something from them. The Seven of Swords. You are also an individual that has troubles connecting to the darker, spiritual, occult, more intuitive side of nature. You could find tarot readers and astrologers very fascinating. Maybe that's why you're here. But at the same time, there is a part of you that always doubts, a part of you that is always fact-checking, a part that kind of tends to be sarcastic about this energy. You always feel that there's a hoax, there's a catch to it. You're trying maybe to even catch people on their bluff. It's very hard to believe that in life you can actually succeed by just being emotional, by just being intuitive, by just tapping into the ether. And on some level, you are correct. Life is made more difficult if we fail to combine the spiritual with the material. We need both of these energies. But at the same time, I feel like oftentimes you disregard your feelings. You go by what is more convenient, what is bringing you more money, more clout, more prestige, what looks good on paper rather than what feels right. And you end up in dangerous, risky situations with people that don't want the best for you. For example, let's say you may meet an individual that fits all of your romantic requirements. They are good looking, they have a great job, they have a wonderful smile, they come from a good family, they are wealthy. And you may go out with them and just excuse their bad behavior. Maybe this person treats people that are vulnerable in disgusting ways. Maybe this person never tips. Maybe this person shouts at children. Maybe this person has some sort of attachment to like darker aspects of sensuality, and they try to kind of enact them on you, causing you harm in a routine way. And you just make up excuses for them because on paper they look like the perfect partner, even if emotionally you feel harassed or even abused. most. So there is a trade-off here that is often happening in your energy. You may be aware of it, but I feel that most of you are unconscious about it. And this is what lies in your darker side, this cool, calm, rational collectedness, which can be your strength in times of chaos. You're a wonderful negotiator. You're a phenomenal mediator. You keep your calm in situations when people may be shouting. You're able to see both sides of the same situation. But in personal connections, you need to show more heart. You need to show more passion. You need to allow yourself to be more spontaneous, more messy. Because people want to see the real you, the authentic you behind the carefully and detailed crafted mask. This mask that you have perfected in time, which is bringing you a lot of benefits in terms of your public role, your professionalism, the income that you gather, but also the connections, the professional business connections you gather. But life is not all business, and it's not all just reason and control. And I feel that this is a side of you that comes out that many people see. Unfortunately, I also see that some people perceive you as a person that enjoys their alone time more than being with other people. And you also hold on to money far too much. You like money, you like objects, and you may hoard it. You may hold on to it for long periods of time. You may be quite skimpy on giving gifts to other people, on sharing your finances with your lovers, on I feel like you protect your financial boundaries very well, but to a point where it comes across as you being miserly, you being like a person that takes more for herself and gives less to other people. Yeah. So you may not see yourself in this way. We're not here to explore your conscious qualities. We're not here to explore your awareness, your solar awareness of yourself. We're going to do a different reading on that one where I'm going to praise you. Don't worry. But now we are exploring the less savory aspects of your personality. And I feel here that indeed people tend to be slightly afraid of you, afraid of this duality. You tend to confuse partners even though you're doing your best to be clear, to be rational, to explain yourself, to defend yourself, but there is more work that needs to be done here on an emotional level. That's why we have Hades here, because Hades, Pluto, and in general, the energy of the underworld talks about diving deep into your emotions, exploring your anger, exploring your sadness, your envy, your sense of competitiveness with other people, and finding out spiritual gold. You see the golden apple, but the golden apple is also the apple of discord. It is the one that began the war of Troy, and it was actually thrown in a situation of intense vanity, because as you know, that war started due to the fact that goddesses felt insulted by not being invited, by not being considered the prettiest, and so on and so forth. So there is this energy of enmity that can happen because you compete with other people to be the best, to be the prettiest, to be the best paid, to have the best partner. But in reality, I feel that your life will be much more balanced and things will flow easier to you, and there wouldn't be so much drama in your personal relationships if you would just allow yourself to feel, and also if you would act less and receive more. By receiving, also continue the flow and keep giving to other people, because I feel that you go ahead and you initiate things, people give you things, you grab them and you hold on to them. While in reality, your flow could be unblocked if you were to just be receptive to whatever life can give you, take what you can, and then share with other people half of what you are getting. I feel that in this way, you will balance yourself out. And by sacrificing a little bit of your assets, a little bit of your income, a little bit of your energy, your compliments, the time that you spend with other people so that you don't spend most of your time by yourself, I feel that in this way, you're going to create better relationships. People will see you as somebody quite warm, that's somebody that's quite genuine. People will start to look at your defects in a positive light. It's like, oh yeah, we know he or she is like this, but they're so generous and they're so kind and they're so compassionate. I mean, we can excuse the more like nastier sides of their personality. So in this way, rather than keeping yourself away from other people in this cool, calm state of detachment, locked in your ivory tower of perfection, you would actually break the wall and join people around you, join the common folk. Because I feel like in your mind, you tend to compare yourself with wealthy, rich people, the 1%, luxurious, people who have gathered generational wealth or are socialites. But I feel that that is a world that is devoid of emotion most of the time. So it's kind of like you're trying to control too much in your life, and you end up living as if you're dead. Living as if you're dead, not even trying to have facial expressions for fear of creating wrinkles on your face. But life is meant to be lived in the sun. That's how we get our vitamin D, even if we get wrinkles quicker. Life is meant for us to express our emotions. That's why we come across as human and approachable and lovable, and that's how we create humorous situation. So it's okay. Wrinkles are something natural. I don't know why, but the theme of wrinkles and getting old is kind of like a punishment, or is being perceived as some sort of punishment. But in reality, it's not. It's just part of a well-lived existence, part of a whole, complete life. So this is the intuitive message that I have for you, Group 1. I hope this sheds light on some of the more unconscious parts of your personality. Now that you are aware of them, you can get even deeper in the process of accepting them, loving them, and including them as part of your personality. I'm going to move on now to read you the deeper messages of these 3 cards, because I feel like you need to know what they have for you, and you may find some solace in the words that you're about to hear. Let's begin first with the Hades card, the influence of Pluto heavily in your life. Unlike the decadent, fickle gods of Olympus, Hades cares more for the people under his rule than he does for his own pleasure. He endures their sneers and abuses with equanimity, focused on his goals and his responsibilities, knowing that eventually all will come to an end in his realm. Hades reminds us to ignore petty, unworthy distractions and to focus on that which will make a real difference in the world. Now this is your second card. We have here Synergy, Chimera. The whole is more powerful than the parts alone. Experiment. There is a power in new designs and ways. There may be people around you sowing discord. You know many things and have your own wisdom. Pull all of this together to form something powerful. You have unique experiences and talents that can only be utilized by you. Homer gives a description of the Chimera in the Iliad, saying that she was of divine stock, not of men. In the forepart a lion, in the hinder a serpent, and in the midst a goat, breathing forth in terrible wise the might of blazing fire. There were many other descriptions, but bottom line, the Chimera was a creature made up of seemingly disparate parts, yet the parts worked together to create a stunning creature. The Chimera may have been frightening, but it was beautiful and harmonious in form too. While the Chimera sounds like something cobbled together like Frankenstein's monster, it was not. It was considered quite perfect in form and function, and was something to be viewed with wonder. While the Chimera appears in Greek mythos and art, she also appears in 4th before Christ Etruscan art and on Indus seals of the same period. The Chimera was born from 2 incredible Titan monsters, the Echidna and Typhon. Echidna was a giant, half woman, half snake, and Typhon was a deadly serpent-like Titan born from Gaia and Tartarus. Sadly, the Chimera was killed by yet another hero, Bellerophon. The king of Lycia, Iobates, had it out for Bellerophon and wanted him eliminated. He ordered the young man to find and kill the Chimera, as it was killing the cattle of his farmers and devastating the country more generally. The real reason was that he thought that the Chimera would simply eat Bellerophon, and that would be that. However, the king neglected to remember that the hero owed the infamous Pegasus, the winged horse, and flying above the Chimera, he was able to kill it from a safe height. So the crystal that can help you to get more in touch with your darker side is called Amolite. And the plant companion is Eggleson's Chimera. It's a kind of camellia. Now the third card is the card of the Gilded Regret. I feel like I live in the past. Please give me 5 more minutes to linger. Memories are like floating underwater objects, safe, warm, and murky, yet they hold the scent of death. The cage of our memories is the most gilded, lingering to the past, savoring crumbs and flashes, hints and ifs. But is our sword, however is our shield. We follow the river against the currents to a sea of maybes. We cannot say if life is here now, we just say if life was here. So that even when the future builds day by day, we still look backward to memories and possibilities. Options we missed, things we lost, changes we fled. It is like staying in the twilight of conscious and the blessed state of those 5 minutes between the time the alarm rings and when you actually have to wake up. Like little kids between the time mom calls and the time we need to wake up and run. But those 5 minutes are taking up too much of your time. They are the drain of your energy, your opportunities, and your future. The ifs are now gone. Whatever has been already, isn't it? So this is an indication that you should stop living in the past, in the world of thought, and think more with your body in the present. And I said I would only read these 3 cards, but I also want to get more in touch with the message of this card, the detachment card, because I think it's really significant. When loss is an investment in peace, a defeat is illusory. The broken rose symbolizes dispassionate thinking, detaching your head from your heart. It is under the protection of the goddess Hecate, who was the goddess of the wilderness, magic, and witches. She was associated with isolation and the underworld. You are being encouraged to stop obsessing and completely let go of any emotional attachments related to the matter in question. So I feel very clearly that with Pluto's energy here, you are being encouraged to heal, let go, and separate from unhealthy attachments. This has been your reading, Group 1. I really hope this helps. I hope it brings a lot of light into your life. I'm sending you so much love. Bye. Hey Group 2, welcome to your reading. Thank you so much for being here. If you skipped over the introduction, I need to remind you that this reading actually has 2 parts. In the first part, I'm going to show you the cards and intuitively read the message. And in the second part, I'm going to dive deeper and read you the meanings of the cards displayed from the booklets. So feel free to skip over that part if you feel so inclined. So this is a reading for those of you who are drawn to the surrender card, number 46, this image and this message. And I see very clearly that, first of all, my mind just stopped. There is a sense of tiredness. You feel tired, you feel defeated. You may be placing yourself in a victim mentality. We will be exploring the nastier sides of your personality, those parts of you that you may not even be aware of. But we are also going to find a solution. We're going to look at the inspiring messages and the lessons that you're learning from coming into contact with this kind of awareness. So let me show you the cards. First off, you have, wow, the 9 of Cups, a wish coming true, the genie. We have here the 6 of Pentacles, generosity, but generosity that is used to show off. We have here the Strength card, physical skill, relying too much on the body. And then we have the 9 of Wands, refusing to give up that which harms you. And that's why you may be so tired. Okay, let's see the oracle cards. We have here Sapientiae, wisdom. We also have here the Morrigan, the weaver of fate. Keywords are antipathy, introspection, and opposition. We also have here mischief, the Puka, number 44. And this is the dangerous part of the deep, dark, and dangerous oracle. And last, we have the Masquerade card. Okay. I feel that you are somebody who likes to take on different types of roles according to the people that you relate to. I feel like you are this kind of person that your friends would say, when you are in a relationship with somebody, it's like you become them, or you start to adopt their behaviors, the things that they say, the things that they listen to. You start to eat the foods that they like to eat. You start to dress in the colors or the types of fabrics that they wear. And while this could be incredibly flattering to your partner, who feels in some way mirrored by your actions, it does lead you to a dissolution of your ego, to not really knowing who you really are. The masquerade card as well confirms this fact, the fact that you tend to put on a show. Like, it's very hard for you to show other people who you really are because you may not feel comfortable being yourself. Maybe when you were growing up, you were punished for your spontaneous affection, for showing people that, hey, look, this is who I am, this is what I like. Maybe you were laughed at or ridiculed, humiliated, and made to feel ashamed. And in this way, you created this alter ego, or more like a social mask. Let's not take it to an extreme. And I feel that from time to time, you just want to let loose and show people who you really are. But in some way, you find that process scary because you kind of feel that who you really are is something dark, something to be ashamed of, something that is not lovable. And I feel that this kind of energy comes up in your life through self-sabotages, through self-hatred. You put yourself in painful relationships and you stay in them almost because you feel that on some level, an inherent masochism rises up inside of you and makes you feel like, yeah, I'm not good enough, I should be punished. This person, the way that they're treating me, it's not that bad. Even if they could be hurling insults at you, even if they could be using you, physically abusing you or manipulating you in some way, you're okay. You stay there and you think, I should stay determined until I figure out who I am. This person is helping me on some way figuring myself out. But in reality, this is a form of relating that is toxic and you would be better off by yourself. I also feel that from time to time you also struggle to hold on to what is good for you. I feel like you're a person that manifests things very easily, but easily loses them as well. You may feel guilty for acquiring power, wealth, and maybe compliments, or even for pulling in people that want to love on you. And what you do when this happens, you may overspend, you may overshare, and you may push people away. So even though beautiful things are being manifested in your life through your incredible manifesting capacity, you tend to kind of squander that energy once it appears in your hands because you are afraid of your own power. It's kind of like somebody gives you a large sum of money and then you feel ashamed for the fact that you have that money and you start to give it to everybody in your life, and then you are back at zero and you're struggling to make ends meet. Or somebody gives you a compliment and it gives you such a rush of joy that you don't know what to do with it. So you may, you may start drinking or smoking or engaging in all sorts of behaviors that in a way put you back to a state of melancholy, lethargy, and sadness. I also see here that there is a focus on toughening up. It could be that you have people in your life that make you feel really good, that want to heal your heart. But the moment this thing happens, you kind of show people, no, I don't need this. No, I'm becoming softer by these emotions. No, I have to toughen up. It's kind of like you're afraid to let go. You are definitely afraid to surrender to the softer side of your personality, that side that says, hey, this is hurting me. Hey, I don't need to keep doing this because I'm tired, I need to rest. It's kind of like you were taught how to not pay attention to your needs, to pay attention to other people's needs to an excess, and you're afraid to stand in your power. What would happen if you were to just take whatever life is giving you and hold it? And stay with it and allow it to nourish you. Allow yourself to feel ecstasy. Allow yourself to feel deep happiness when it comes into your life. Try not to overthink it. Try not to push it away. Try not to rationalize it. I feel that a big part of your unconscious darker self is the incapacity to accept happiness, to spoil things when things are going well. Like, it could be that somebody confessed love to you and you run away, or you make it feel as if, no, they want something from me. You start diving into some sort of paranoid suspicions that end up destroying that beautiful connection. They end up making the other person feel like they're stupid for having told you that they love you. They're stupid and silly for having been vulnerable with you because you toughen up. Okay, so I'm seeing here also a person that could be using facts and knowledge in order to be right most of the time. Another aspect that I think lies in your shadow, lies as part of your darker self, is the fact that you tend to correct a lot of people. You may step in and tell them, no, that's incorrect. You are not saying what is true. I feel like you also pick up a lot of fights or arguments with people when they have beliefs that are very different than yours. You would like people to have an agreement with your ideas and values. And I feel that in certain conversations, it's hard for you to engage in a detached debate. I feel that you're an individual that is quite traditional at heart, and you really don't appreciate a lot of changes happening in your life. You like to maintain some sort of control. You like to be firmly planted into a space, and whatever kind of makes your branches sway in the wind, like this beautiful tree over here that has these deep roots, it bothers you, it irritates you. You want to go back to your status quo. I feel that, yeah, indeed, you are threatened by changes. You're reluctant to change. You want to maintain things as they are, even if maintaining them as they are is detrimental to your growth, your vitality, and your good luck and success in life. You also feel like an outcast, but be mindful that this energy of, oh, I'm so put to the sides, oh, nobody actually sees me, oh, nobody actually appears in my world, this is an illusion. And I want you to be very mindful that you don't prolong the pain of you living in a victim's mentality. Because most of this harm that you perceive as coming from other people is inflicted upon you by the fact that you make decisions to stay in really difficult circumstances when you could have the option to just open the door and walk away. Even if it's difficult to leave a job, to leave a person, to leave an environment, to leave a family. Nobody says that these things are, easy to do. But I think that when push comes to shove, you just stay in the push and the shove rather than open the door and walk away. And it would be important in your life to learn to say no, to learn about healthy separations, healthy boundaries that protect you, that keep you wealthy, stable, happy, and in a state of mental balance, mental equilibrium. Because I think that you could also suffer from these mood swings. You control, and then all of a sudden the darker side comes out. This fury, this self-hatred may come out. And it's important to balance things out. Nobody says that you have to be controlled all the time. Nobody says that you have to be a rampant fury agent in society. It's important for you to understand the middle ground. And keep in mind that you're a person that manifests things very easily. So why not start manifesting from a place of trust, faith, optimism? And why not keep the things that are working for you? Keep the things that are good for you. Allow people to stay in your life. Allow yourself to receive and keep. There's nobody here to say that you can't share a little of what you make. But it's kind of the opposite message that I had with group 1. But at the same time, I feel like you shouldn't just trade off yourself completely in an effort to get people to like you. And this obsession with getting people to like you on some level, with building a front that attracts a lot of people, this obsession comes from a feeling of inadequacy, a feeling of self-hatred. And you need to get to the core of this. You need to love this darker aspect of yourself. We have here so much green behind the dark, Morrigan. The green is the energy of the heart chakra. So extracting wisdom from pain, rather than staying in painful situations, walk away from them and allow the healing to happen. Allow the wisdom to filter through your mind. Allow those moments of, aha, now I understand why I was in that toxic connection. Aha, now I see why I had to go through that ordeal. But if you stay in it, you will never have the sense of detachment that will allow you to actually integrate the wise lesson. You will just feel the pain and the suffering. And on some level, it can be a habit can be created, an addiction to pain and suffering, especially if you live around people that go through something similar and reinforce that in you. Especially if you keep coming up individuals that tell you that, well, life is pain, what did you expect? You can't grow out of the circumstances in which you were born. There's nothing to look forward to. So be mindful of this energy. Be mindful of having this kind of echo chamber of the people around you, people in your neighborhood, in your family especially. You can craft a different life. You can cure yourself of a victim's mentality. You are more powerful than you realize. And on some level, you are afraid of this power because nobody actually pointed it out or taught you or observed it inside of you and said, wow, you are so powerful, unbelievable. But whatever others don't see about you, I hope that I'm able to help you understand so that the next time when you look into your mirror, you say, I love you, you are powerful, I'm by your side, I'm your best friend, I will get you out of trouble and complicated situations. We do not have to endure that which harms us. We can let it go. We can sacrifice it. We can surrender it. Okay, so this has been the intuitive message, group 2. Feel free to click away now if you don't want to listen to the deeper, darker messages. But I'm going to go right now to explore the messages that I see here in front of me from these 4 cards. I want to give you a little bit more advice. I'm sure that these deeper messages will resonate with you stronger, especially if you're intent on getting to the bottom of your darker side and making it more conscious and thereby learning from it, inspiring it and accepting it, loving it. So let's see. Okay, the first card is Sapientia, wisdom. So true wisdom is effortlessly applied knowledge. The tree of life represents a spiritual bridge between earth and the heavens. It is a reminder that wisdom is accessible from the macrocosm to the microcosm, because although one is bigger than the other, they are still the same in composition. The ocean is vast and the glass of water on your table may be small, but they both consist of 1 oxygen and 2 hydrogen atoms. The duplex knot is a symbol that has been ubiquitous throughout the cultures of the world since the Stone Age, and therefore predates its later identification with the Celts or King Solomon. It is used here to reinforce the message of the inextricable link between all. This is the religious mythical association of Anata or Neith, was the indigenous moon goddess of Libya with 3 aspects of Athena, new moon, Metis, full moon, and Medusa, dark moon. Medusa represented wisdom and protection as queen of the Amazons. The worship of Anata spread to Kemet, while only her new moon aspect of Athena was accepted in Greece. Her dark warrior aspect was Hellenized as a hideous monster that turned men into stone. So you have the protection of the goddess Anata. You also have the protection of the goddess Tehuti, Thoth, or Hermes. God. Tehuti was the Kemetian god of wisdom, whom the Greeks equated with their god Hermes. Tehuti and Hermes would become syncretized as another aspect of Hermes called Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes the Thrice Great. The Roman equivalent of Hermes was Mercury. Wisdom is evolution. It is being one way, reaching the limit of that way, and making a new way, then integrating all ways as the situation demands. There is no shortage of intellectually brilliant people in the world, but the wise are few and far between. The ability to absorb, regurgitate, or cleverly manipulate information has nothing to do with a person's ability to apply what they know to their daily lives. There are many who think age, formal education, or enduring challenging situation makes one automatically wise, but no one can deny the existence of old fools, educated idiots, and the impoverished souls who have failed to integrate their hard-earned lessons for their maximum benefit. Because it is common to associate wisdom with certain occupations, we tend to give these people a hard time when they make silly mistakes and should have known better. Unfortunately, it is not that easy, and things just don't work that way. If you get this card in a reading, the Sibyl's Oraculum may be asking you to stop and consider the following questions related to your darker aspects. Was that situation, a number of years spent with a partner that didn't work out, for example, really a waste of time? Have you forgiven yourself for that situation? If not, then will you? Do you expect someone else to wise up just because you have gotten the point now? Is it time to reevaluate your position on the matter at hand based on your past experience? Are you listening to the advice of someone who doesn't have any direct experience about the matter? Are you negatively prejudicing possibilities, making excuses, or coming down with a case of what ifs because you secretly are afraid of growth? Do you feel you're too old, too educated, or too tried and tested to learn more? South Node, Sagittarius, North Node at play in your energy. Okay, let's move on now to the Morrigan. Demi-goddess, shapeshifter, riddler, trickster, and tester of the heroes, the Morrigan is an agent of chaos, in all ways more than she appears. She favors the form of a large black crow and enjoys the spectacle of battle. The Morrigan is the tester of skill as well as of will, tempting heroes away from their true goals and desires. She challenges our self-knowledge and our abilities, pushing us ever towards true understanding of who we are, the bad as well as the good. So you have here powerful protectors. We have Hermes, we have the Morrigan. These are deities that you can pray to in order to help alleviate some of the symptoms of your darker forms. Now, let's see what Puka is all about. You can be both playful and earnest. Be upfront with your intentions. Beware of people who you know are not being transparent with you. Lying by omission is still lying. Honesty is the best policy. Build playfulness back into your life. The Irish puka is one of the deftest shapeshifters within mythos. It can easily change between the forms of almost any animal, from something large like a horse or a wolf to a raven, fox, or rabbit. These creatures, though, always have dark fur and a shining, sleek appearance. The puka can also change into more humanoid shape like a goblin or a human, but usually the ears are a giveaway. They always remain furry and animalistic. Pukas have a reputation for being mischievous and generally not lethal, although there are some rare stories that paint them as the latter. In some countries, the puka is welcomed and even courted, and in others feared and not encouraged. Puka Day is 1st of November, so it's coming very soon after I release this reading. The day after Samhain, and as such, any food still in the fields on this day is considered fey blasted and is offered to the puka. One of the most common stories is of riding pukas. The puka changes into the form of a beautiful black stallion and encourages a human to ride it. Sometimes the animal might be a black goat or bull, but there is an invitation to ride. The human gets on what looks like a sweet and gentle animal and then gets the ride of their lives. The puka rears up, jumps in the air, and runs flat out with the poor terrified human trying to hold on. Unlike selkies, the puka will not drag the human into their lair to kill them or drown them. They just want to enact some mischief. The puka has the power of human speech and sometimes uses this to warn a human they like of a danger to them. One myth describing this benevolence involves a puka in rabbit form being attacked by dogs and a young human saved it. The puka is released in safety by the tender-hearted boy and the puka is grateful. The boy does not know that this black rabbit he has saved is indeed a puka. One day, the young boy is traveling from one farm to another and does not realize there is a robber on the road. The puka hops out to the boy and begins to speak in a human voice. The boy is afraid, but the puka is able to calm him and warn him about the robber ahead. The boy turns back and is able to tell some adults, and the robber is thus scared off. So we see here an energy of something that could be quite creepy, but at the same time quite helpful. Another example of the puka as a protective entity is when it intervenes if a human is about to come in contact with a nasty spirit or the source of bad magic. In myths such as this, the puka reveals itself in a special name to the human to prove its goodwill. In many Celtic and Scottish stories of the Fae, no magical creature will reveal its name to a human, as there is a belief that knowing a creature's true name can give the human the power over it. This is, of course, goes double for a shapeshifter who is able to change identities at will and protect itself. This shows that the puka offers an earnest truth to the human it chooses to assist. Your lucky crystal is peridot, and your plant companion is thyme. Wow, okay, that was a tour de force of stories. And we also have here the final card for you. We have Masquerade. What I can't have forever, I will have for a minute. What I can't have for a minute, I will hold to me for 1 second. Under the guise of Cupid, I will come to you. Under the guise of a thief, I will fly away. So this card describes how there is often guilt in taking the mask of Don Juan or Dona Juana. The seducer is not a master of love, neither of manipulation. He is the master of the ephemeral. Oh, what is fleeting and brief and transient to the extreme. He is the master of the moment, and as such, he forgot all other kinds of eternity. There is guilt if you care, because you are not building a connection. There is guilt out of loss, because you are not treasuring a connection. There is guilt out of indifference, because when you don't care, you cheat yourself of meaning and value. Sometimes there is guilt in the selflessness, in the desire itself, in everything leading to pleasure, as if the only pleasure that can be sacred are only those labeled as such. The masquerade is a dance. It is a road that goes in circles and ebbs and flows, and always ends with the first light. Before the time comes, hold it tightly. When the time goes, let it go. Wow, okay, this has been your reading. I hope you have enjoyed it, Group 2. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this sheds lights on your darker side and that it inspires you. I'm sending you so much light. Take care. Hey Group 3, welcome to your reading. We are going to explore your darker side. This is a reading for those of you that were drawn to this card, this image, the leadership number 37 and the message below it. In this reading today, I need to remind you, if you skipped over the introduction, that this is a two-parter. In the first part, I'm going to read you the intuitive messages and show you the cards. In the second part, I'm going to dive deeper and read you the messages from the booklets of these decks. So you can skip over this part if this is what you feel inclined to do, but you can stay and absorb the deeper messages if you're really focused on doing some deep shadow work. So, all this being said, let's put this card over here and let's see what cards you were dealt. Okay, so we have the 10 of coins. We have here the Knight of Wands blocked. We have the Emperor blocked. And the Queen of Swords. We also have vibrationis, vibration. So there's something here about your vibes, the energy you exude. Fated to suffer. Zachriel, the angel of memory. Guna Kadate, blessing. And this is the deep, out of the deep, dark, and dangerous oracle. Okay. A couple of things are already coming out. Your memories are lying to you. The way you remember things is very biased. First of all, I need to tell you right off the bat with Zachriel here, you need to go and do a deeper analysis of your emotions, of the things you remember, because you have a partial recollection of what has happened. Things are not exactly as you remember them. So I feel that it would be good to talk to other people about things as they remember them from the period of time that they were having a relationship with you, be this business, family related, or romantic. I feel that you are a person who gives off the vibe that you are very kind of confident, wealthy. You have this abundance mindset. You could be very intent on gathering wealth and prestige. You could be very good at your work. You could be working in a prestigious place, in a very beautiful place. You could have a job that a lot of people envy. But at the same time, I feel that sometimes you go to great lengths to walk over other people in order to reach your goal. You could be a little bit too selfish in your ambitions. You're not really including other people in your successes. I feel that oftentimes you could have been called the teacher's pet, or the person that is the number one assistant to the boss, to somebody that is in a leadership position, mostly because you craved to become like them. I feel that many people will see that you are quite avaristic, that you tend to work only if you're paid enough, and you sometimes could ask for far too much than you are willing to give in return. I also feel that people tend to see you as being really non-committal and only up for fun in love. They tend to see you as a person that's very beautiful, takes a lot of good care of his or her body, puts a lot of effort into how they style themselves. You could wear good quality clothes, you may have good quality makeup, perfumes, all sorts of accessories. People feel really drawn towards you and the image of security, stability, and wealth that you project. But you could also be a little bit childish in your personal connections. You could rush too much. You could be too impulsive. And as soon as there is the hint of another person disagreeing with what you want from them, you walk away. You block, you stop interacting with them. And funnily enough, I feel that there are other people in your life that have started behaving with you in the same way in which you tend to come across to other people. And you could be upset that, why do I keep attracting players? Why do I keep attracting low vibe men who only want one thing from me? Or women who only want one thing from me? But the thing is that they are mirroring to you your own behavior. And this could be a little bit of a hard pill to swallow, because I see here a Knight of Wands and an Emperor blocked. Normally these cards would talk about a fun, adventurous, brave spirit, somebody who is in control, in charge, somebody who knows what they want and goes out to get it without doubts or regrets or apologies or waiting for permission from other people. But here I see an individual that takes things to an extreme, almost like hurting other people, only prioritizing their own feelings, their own action. What can I get from you? What are you doing for me? How is my own sense of self being gratified in this connection? And you tend to not put the needs of the other person on the same level or above yours. And this is an attitude that is making a lot of people walk away from you because they see you as selfish. I'm really, really sorry to say this, but I see that people see you as somebody who is quite selfish and a little bit emotionally immature. As beautiful, as wealthy, as stable you are, there is this darker aspect about you that craves attention, craves to be the center in a personal connection. And I feel that many times you have been hurt in the past and you build this armor of defensiveness, which unfortunately is keeping you further away from connecting with people in a healthy way. So the vibe you are getting, or giving, better said, is the vibe of a person who suffers from the consequences of her or his own mistakes in love and has created a shield around them. You could be saying to yourself, I've sworn off love. I don't want to ever fall in love. I don't even think it's possible for me to fall in love. But if you go back and you examine your relationships, you will see that you may have chosen the wrong partners. You may have rushed to judge somebody. You may have actually acted on impulse, and when you got rejected or somebody actually placed a boundary with you, you felt insulted and you walked away. And then you kept saying to yourself, oh, I shouldn't have trusted that person. Oh, why did I open up? But in reality, did you open up? Did you stay with this person to see what will happen? Were you really that patient and careful with how you took care of your feelings and of the other person's feelings as well? Did you ask them the right questions, or did you jump to conclusions? There's an element of ego coming into play. The mind is overthinking while the heart is blocked. So the vibe you are giving is a little bit colored in these energies. It tends to be a little bit dark, gray, brownish. But you can change it. You can definitely change it through the way in which you think. You can cut these cords that are keeping you in a state of connected to the past, connected to past mistakes and regrets. Because until you extract the wise lesson from your personal connections, you will keep mulling over them. You will keep having these regrets coming up over you when you're trying to get rest, or when you're trying to sleep, or when you're relaxing. And you'll keep trying to figure out what happened there, blaming the other person, when in reality, it's a 50-50, you know. Yes, it might have been the other person's blame, the fact that the connection didn't work out, but it's also your blame. You are also responsible for what happened in that situation. And until you accept these things about you, your vibration is going to be overwhelmed by your darkness, by your shadow, because you're not accepting these parts about yourself, so they end up being projected onto your lovers, I see here. But it could also be some coworkers, some people that you are in competition with at work. So if you're struggling in love, if you're struggling at work, if there is this energy of violence, competitiveness, impulsivity, then Most likely this is your energy and are not utilizing it well. You're trying to run away from it. You may unfortunately put yourself into this energy of life is painful. I always have to go through these difficult moments. People are insane. I don't know what to make of them. But in reality, you keep carrying this emotional baggage with you instead of resolving it. It's kind of like you've attached a lot of value to the pain that you suffered. You feel that the pain you have endured in personal connection has fortified you, has made you into the person you are today, this ruthless leader. But in reality, I feel like you also displayed some selfish behaviors, and that's why you got hurt. Because you didn't fully respect the people that were coming at you from a place of love. You didn't fully allow them to give to you. And indeed, you might have attracted some bad apples. I'm not saying that that's not possible. You may have attracted some bad apples as well. Some people that only wanted one thing. They had a one-track mind. But I also feel that there was a really good, significant connection here that ended up being dissolved, mostly because of impulsivity and egotism. I feel that the cards were a little bit harsher with you, Group 3. I do apologize for this, but at the moment when you become aware of some of these darker energies, that's the moment when you can love and accept these parts of yourself, and they will stop acting out in your life in these bizarre ways. This has been the intuitive reading. I'm going to move on now to read you the darker, deeper messages of these cards. I hope you can stay with me and learn some more. But if this is where I leave you, then see you next time. Now, let's begin with the first card. I'm going to begin with the vibration card. A sigh is both womb and grave. The colors of the flowers are the same as those commonly used to make Roman clothing, and the colors of the flowers in this card, and they represent the following: purple, royalty and higher knowledge; saffron yellow, nobility and wealth; teal and blue, fermentation, that which can be reused; green, commonalities, common experience. The peacock in this card literally represents vibration because its feathers vibrate when it wants to communicate. Now you are under the protection of the Egyptian goddess Bast. Bast was the ancient Kemetian goddess of cats, protection, joy, sensuality, and the sacred rattle known as the sistrum. To the Greeks, she was an aspect of Artemis, and they used to call her Ailuros. Now, everything in existence emits a vibration. Even if something appears to be inanimate, there are still molecules moving in that release a measurable force. Likewise, our thoughts are considered powerful things with dynamic force, because every action originates with an idea that has been given sufficient and consistent energy to facilitate movement. This is the same notion prescribed in the universal law of attraction, which is also known as karma, the law of vibration, or any other term used to describe the idea of like attracts like. So everything that has ever happened is happening and will happen and has a common origin in the unseen mind. There are no random events, circumstances, coincidences, accidents, or instances of good or bad luck that would imply that there is no such law. If we put our emotions aside, even happy ones, from what has occurred or is occurring and seek out the past thought that created the present experience, we will remember the seed thought that sprouted the current reality we are in. If this were not possible, we would be incapable of gratitude or regret for having chosen a particular path. The law of vibration may make us uncomfortable because it means that none of us are victims and we are responsible for every vibe we put out there. If this concept is new to you, it may seem cold and frightening, but it is in fact quite the contrary. There is tremendous freedom and power in knowing that payment will always be made and that you can decide to cut a check or create a new bill anytime you choose. So the payment refers to a karmic payment. Gone will be the days when you believe someone could do something foul to you or anyone else and get away with it. Even if there are no outward signs that the person who wronged you is suffering, or even if they seem to be thriving, there are still consequences that occur below the surface in some way. So if you get the vibration card, the Sibyl's Oraculum may be asking you to stop and consider the following questions. So, if something went wrong, did you really not know or see it coming? Or did you willingly let someone slide because it was comfortable for you to do so at the time? If something is starting to go wrong, but things haven't completely fallen apart yet, be aware of the vibes you are putting out there because they are contributing to the decay. Do you practice what you preach? Are your professed beliefs in alignment with what you actually do and how you live? What do you spend most of your time thinking about, and how may that be affecting the results you're seeking? Are you clear about how you feel and what you really want? Yeah, so a bit of a tough love energy, but useful. I think it's really useful nonetheless. We are going to move on now to see what the blessed angel Zachriel, who's protecting you, has to say. Eternally lost, Zachriel carelessly winds and unwinds the threads of your thought. Memory has no worries or concerns. You are safe to wrap yourself in the bands of time gone by as well. It is warm and safe within the fog of Zachriel. All you know greets you, welcomes you, longs for you. The power of embrace and remembrance is balanced by the power of forgetfulness. Pouring memory into the cup of forgetfulness makes room for new memory. Zachriel is the angel of all memory, even memory lost. If you take something with you, you must also leave something behind. The law of balance, the law of karma is heavily at play in your life at the moment. Let's see what the deep aspect of the blessing brought by the Gunaka date has to bring you. Look deeper. Something that may seem like a curse in your life is actually a blessing. Truth finds a way to be told. You are loved and protected. The Tlingit people have a deep, beautiful myth concerning a creature called the Gunaka date. A young man belongs to a village that is poor and fishing is not good. There is little to eat. He lives with his wife and mother-in-law, the latter who thinks him lazy. One night he is walking along the beach looking for food, and in the quick coming darkness he sees a monster close to shore. The monster steps upon the shore, and the young man captures and kills it. He skins the creature thinking that the meat may be useful, but has the urge to try on the monster's skin. The skin melds with his skin, and he delves deep into the ocean as the monster called the Gunakadate. He finds swimming as the monster through the sea, invigorating. He sees and learns about another world. Wow, so this is about taking the shape of somebody else, putting yourself in the shoes of somebody else, empathizing. Now the story continues. Just before dawn, he returns, removes the skin, and goes back to the village. He is amazed at what has happened. That night he has an idea that he will become the Gunakadate again and look for fish. He puts the skin on, becomes the monster, and easily catches a huge salmon. He returns to his human self, hides the skin, and brings the fish back to the village, and they are all happy. And so each night he becomes the Gunakadate and brings more food home before dawn, sometimes a seal, sometimes even a small whale. He tells his wife eventually of his secret, just in case something happens to him, and so he knows where he goes at night. So she knows where he goes at night. Some stories say the other sea creatures, such as whales, realized his deception and killed him for it. Others say he simply drowned. But one morning, the Gunakadate is found dead on the shore. By this stage, the village is prosperous again, and all are fed. None think of him as lazy anymore. And so the young man's spirit returns to the ocean, which he truly loved. His wife would sometimes see his spirit as the Gunakadate, and when she does, great prosperity comes to the village. It is said that if you see the monster too, you too will be blessed with great fortune. So I feel that a deeper message here that complements the tarot cards is that you often may need to transform yourself into a more selfish, cruel creature, a very tough leader, in order to gain wealth and privileges. But at the same time, it's important to know that a true leader always provides back to the people. A true leader never keeps everything selfishly just for themselves, but always works in the favor of those that cannot defend themselves, that cannot do these amazing feasts that it can do. Now, your plant companion is the salmon berry, and the crystal companion is the labradorite. So these are elements that can help you in your healing, deep shadow work journey. And now the final card is the fated to suffer card. Feeling confined into a script, forced by others and never really fought, heading towards a destination of pain. If you know the future, you forsake your choices. Only with no fate, life is free to unfold into unknown shores. So once upon a time, we believed in fairy tales. They were the voice of common sense, the educational tool which prepared us to duty, danger, and morals. Some things we would never accept if they were told by a single voice. So the world arranges us to hear them with 1,000 voices, 1,000,000 voices. It's about what you can do and what you can't do. What are you worth and what can you aspire to? It's about what you like, what you want, what you hold dear. It creates a script which becomes as strong as all the voices that believe the script combined. So much that you cannot see another path. Are you truly seeing Snow White in the card? Is this story truly the only one that this image can tell? What if the apple is not poisoned? What if the witch is not evil? Is that the same at what you look in your life? Is it truly what you think it is? Are there not other options around you? Is it the opinions of others honestly? Are the opinions of others honestly better than ours, even if they are many and we are only one? Are you fated to suffer? Is it not that there is no suffering in the world? The point is that there is no fate. The message is a bit mysterious and confusing. The Dark Mirror Oracle tends to speak in poems, but I feel that here is an indication to understand that you create part of your fate. There is such a thing as free will, and it interacts with divine scripts on a daily basis. So keep that in mind as you move forward and you learn to love about yourself those parts of you that are deep and dark. I hope that this message helped. I hope that you enjoyed this reading and that it illuminated your life. I'm sending you a great big hug and I cannot wait to see you in my next one. Bye! Hey Group 4, welcome to a reading in which we will explore your dark side. This is for those of you who are drawn to this card, this image, number 51 and the healing message. Much like I reminded all the other piles, keep in mind that this is a two-parter reading. First, I will show you the cards that I have here for you and I will read them intuitively. And in the second part, I will read you the deeper, darker messages if you want to do some more inner work. So, all this being said, let's begin. Let's see what cards you are dealt. We have here the Seven of Pentacles. We have the King of Swords. Oh, the Magician, who is shy about his power. We have here the Seven of Wands. We already see a 7-7. We have the Speculo card, the Mirror. We have the Questio card, the Questioning. The Exile, the Forsaken Soldier, Strategy, Failure, and Trauma. Love, Kali. Wow. And this is the dark aspect of the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle. And we have here the Parasite. Whoa. I feel here that what's darker about you is unfortunately a feeling of stickiness. You are a person that attaches far too strongly, far too intensely to not only the people in your life, but your activities, your routines. You have been an individual that was rejected from a young age, neglected even. And to heal that wound, you are holding on far too tightly to everything and everyone in your life. It's actually a sweet, sweet message, a little bit heartbreaking. You might have been feeling like you're some sort of parasite in your relationship to the people around you. Even though all you wanted was to love, your love was rejected. Potentially this is a pattern that started with the people that took you into their care first, your mother, your father, your social mother, social father, caretakers, primary caregiver. They unfortunately were not there for you. They might have made you feel like you don't matter, like there's no outlet for your love. So you kept it all in. You are afraid of rejection and you tend to overcompensate in your personal connections. You tend to suffocate and smother the other person. Yeah, at the same time as you are attached to the point of no longer knowing who you really are, there's always this feeling that you are resenting the fact that you have to love so much, resenting the fact that you have to do so much, to give so much. It's not a balanced way of giving, it's a way that comes from anxiety and a deep fear of being thrown to the side, of being abandoned again. You hate loss. You cannot tolerate the fact that you're losing things. You may even have a small kind of compulsive reaction towards holding on to things in the form of hoarding things, keeping too tightly to them, keeping every little thing that is given to you, even if it's in time gathering the value of garbage. I also feel like you sometimes adapt too strongly to your environment in an effort to not be attacked or seen as weird. You tend to go over your values, over your ideas, your likes. It's a similar energy to group 2, but yours is a little bit more, I'm sorry to say this, it's a little bit more desperate. It's like you want to be loved and you would do anything. It's kind of like the nanny that enters a household and ends up becoming the first wife by slowly infiltrating herself into a family. And it's a wounded soul that would do that. And I think unconsciously a lot of these things happen. So you may have an attraction towards people that already have built their lives. You always feel like you're on the outside looking in. You could do this at work as well. You could join an organization that has already a well-established group of people, a good team, and you infiltrate it, and then all of a sudden, all sorts of weird events start happening. It's kind of like you are pushed into the center of dramas. And without you realizing, you do kind of bring this energy of needing to have all eyes on you, needing for people to look at you, to love you, to attach to you quite strongly, quite almost obsessively. Yeah, it's not an easy path. That's why you were drawn to the healing card. The way out of this is through spiritual effort, because you have 7-7, the number of God, the number of the divine. Through deep breathing, through meditation, through yogic practices, you are able to detach yourself from those very things that you desire with all the power of your body, your energy, your cells. It's important to keep in mind all the time, what do I want? What does the other person want? What is the healthy boundary between where I end and you begin? Feeling like you are blended with people around you is a recipe for disaster. Feeling like you allow people to just come in and out without boundaries, without saying no, without tracing a line in the sand, it will always backfire on you. It is a strategy that will always backfire. So as much as possible, try to stay away from compromising your professional life and mixing it with business. Try not to date your boss. Try not to sleep with a married person. Try not to cross the boundaries of your work with intimate things. It's super important that you stick to this because it will lead you into territories that will affect your mental health. It will lead you into some pretty dire circumstances that will bring up pain from the past, and a really, really deep pain. You see that this character here is beating this dark tree and the tree is bleeding. And you see that she's running away through these beanstalks in the middle of the night, almost as if she's afraid that something is chasing her. But nothing is chasing her. It's only the weight of its own shadow. I see here a Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius man. It could be a father wound, the rejection of a father figure, and you keep trying to please this father figure in your mind, but you are actually incredibly powerful. Very similar to group 2's energy. Maybe you need to go and listen to that reading as well. You're incredibly powerful. You've got everything you need to succeed in life, but you may be self-sabotaged by the idea that you have to succeed in life next to a strong man. And you end up compromising your values, you end up compromising your emotions in order to always be part of a relationship that you feel you need to constantly mirror back, that you feel you need to always be overly empathetic, overly giving, constantly plugged into your spouse, almost like there shouldn't be any breathing space. The distance is threatening. The healthy sense of separation between two people, you perceive it as the end, the beginning of the end. And that's what leads to self-destruction, suffocation. You suffocate yourself. You suffocate those around you with these high expectations of blending mind, body, and soul with the other person all the time. When in reality, nobody can be mind, body, and soul connected all the time. We go through these moments in life which should be cherished. These ecstatic moments that we can reach through spiritual practice, through art, creativity, lovemaking, through just peak experiences that all of us have at certain point in our lives. And those are beautiful, but they shouldn't be considered daily expectations. There is a need here to experience a high on a daily basis, and this is leading to self-destruction. So in order to temper the emotions, which I see that are very high in your case, you need to tap more into your rational capacity, your capacity to discern, to say, this is good for me, this is wrong. I will do this, I will not do this. Here is as far as I can go. I can only meet you halfway. I'm not going to go all the way for you. And this will protect you from a number of issues. Will protect you from trading off your worth, for asking for the right income commensurate with your skills. It will protect you physically from being infected with certain sexually transmitted diseases, from partners that constantly want to push the boundaries with you and you allow them to do that. It will protect you and your family from being taken advantage of by relatives, constantly being the one that gets the short end of the stick while your siblings or other relatives always come on top. I'm not saying that you should get incredibly angry right now and start attacking people in your life, but this is about self-respect. And it's about healing the desire to constantly be blended with somebody. It's almost as if there was a primary caregiver that failed you when you were young. And I think it might have been the father, or the father left such a strong imprint on the mother that she wasn't able to be there for you. And that kind of attachment and deep love and boundaryless sense of unconditional love and self-acceptance that a mother usually gives the child in the first, months of a child's life were missing in your case. And it's kind of like you grew up with this sense of, I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to stick to this person, to this situation. And you don't see how you're transforming it into something that is harming both you and the host. Yeah. So this is about reclaiming your sense of individuality, trusting your independence, trusting your power, because you have the power to live life on your own terms. You don't need to be necessarily coupled up, and you definitely don't need to ask permission all the time to love, to be fierce. You can say no, you can push people away. It's okay for you to separate and say, I'm going to walk away, that's it. This is not for me. It's okay for you to ask for help, but also to not be too needy. There's a sense of this neediness that it's affecting the healthy development of your personal connections. And what you could do, well, you see it very clearly here. Pray. Not only praying, this is more about living in a spiritual way. Find a way to craft a routine, to do certain things each day that get you more in touch with spirituality, that help you understand the benefits of letting go, that helps you tap more into what forgiveness means to you and how it can liberate your soul. You're meant to focus more on feeling at peace in your heart rather than crying yourself to sleep each night because you can't have whom you want or what you want when you want it. So adopting a spiritual approach to life, spiritual routines, spiritual practices, anything from praying, meditation, engaging in a state of flow by taking on a hobby or an occupation that really gets you to focus on doing one thing and to do it very close to perfection. All these things are better uses of your energy, time, and love than engaging in situations that could lead to self-destruction and the destruction of those around you. So staying away from drama and accepting peace as a deep form of love, as a deep form of nourishment for your heart. Yeah, this is the message that I had for you, the intuitive message. Feel free to click away if you don't want to stay for the deeper messages. I'm going to move on now to the second part of your reading, in which I will read you the deeper messages of these oracle cards. Okay, let's begin first with Speculo, the mirror. How one lives is their only face. The mirror represents self-knowledge and physical and spiritual reflection. You are under the protection of the goddess Het-Heru or Hathor. Hathor was the ancient Kemetian goddess of beauty and love. She was also considered the patroness of astrology. More temples were built in her honor than for any other goddesses. Women primarily danced in her honor, but men sometimes did as well. You are also under the protection of the goddess Nephthys, or as she is known, Nebhet. Nebhet was the ancient Kemetian goddess of secrets, nighttime, and beer. She is the mirror image of Aset, or Isis. So, the message of this card is that everyone who has ever looked at themselves in a mirror is aware that the image reflected back is reversed. But never do we question if it is really us. In fact, if we saw someone looking at themselves in a mirror, holding up their right hand and insisting it was not really them because the mirror reflected their raised left hand, we would call them crazy. Yet intelligent people do this every day when they fail to see how situations reflect the mind of the perceiver. I must point out this is only an accurate statement when the situation reflects something oppressive or otherwise negative. Strangely, the same individuals will readily acknowledge that a situation reflects them if they perceive the situation to be fortunate or otherwise positive. It is only when we acknowledge that whatever is occurring in our lives has its origin in us that we will cease living in denial and grow by taking full responsibility for the good, the bad, and the ugly times. If you get Speculo in a reading, it is highly unlikely that you have a clear awareness of how your words and your actions have created the circumstances you are now experiencing, for better or for worse. If you continue along this course, you may end up placing blame on someone or something else, or not giving yourself the credit that may be due if you have been in some way rewarded. In either case, you will miss a golden opportunity to learn what works and what doesn't work for you. If you have already discovered the origin of the matter within your words or deeds, then this card is letting you know that there is a critical point that you have missed. Review the core issue again. And I think that the core wish the core wish is connected to the core issue that needs to be revised. So I'm going to read you right now the message of this card, Questio, or questioning, because I think this is the one giving you the clue as to what you need to revise and go over again. Fear of hearing no is the number one cause of all lost fortunes. The key represents access. The feathers depict writing, truth, spirit, and ascension, messages, and travel. The crossing of the feathers is the two sides of a situation needing to be resolved. This is the card that is under the protection of the god Janus. Janus was the Roman god of gates, doors, portals, beginnings, and endings. He was probably originally an Etruscan god named Ani and was associated with the Babylonian god Usmu. All religious rites began with invocation to the god Janus. So, you are being encouraged to step into a new way to define yourself. Seek answers and don't stop until you are satisfied. If you feel uncomfortable or afraid to ask questions, remember that your comfort zone is not necessarily the right zone regarding this issue. You must step out and face your growth. So doing something that you may perceive as being a little bit challenging is actually going to be what will help you overcome this energy of a fear of abandonment that keeps ruling over your life, a neediness, a sense of being a parasitic life form. Speaking of the parasite, let's see what the card has to say to you. When the only answer to lack of self-efficiency is to cling to another one, this card appears. What can't survive alone will seek company, but instead of growing together, they will wither together. Relationships are not a zero-sum game. Of course, using each other is part of the game, but it's quite different when use takes the shape of supporting rather than manipulating or exploiting. In the long run, a good relationship is a win-win, where the more I give, the more I get, and the other way around. Still, it's not always like this, isn't it? Not just in bad relationships. In the short run, bad is bound to happen even in the house of true love. We cling, we bite, we hunger for safety and freedom and support. And on the other side, we get mangled, beaten, demanded on. Well, it happens. It happened and it will happen again. It is part of the game. But if it happens too often, it creates a toxic environment. It doesn't matter if we are the victim or the perpetrator, as poison is shared equally. One gets the pain, another one gets the advantage. But the toxic part, they both get. Fully, a parasite, a leech, kills itself as much as it kills the host. It sacrifices the journey to the destination and then the destination to its own failure. The problem is not living as sheep, but the true problem is living as a sheep for 100 years. Okay, I don't know, because the sheep is a really beautiful animal. I think it's one of the most sweetest animal ever, and it's constantly being undervalued or being treated as if it's not part of a society of winners and conquerors. Speaking of not being part of a society, let's see what the message of the exile has to bring you. The exile is a lost, broken figure haunted by dim memories of former victories. Once he was a glorious supreme commander, a leader of soldiers, and a feared warlord. Now he is a rootless wanderer, unable to fully grasp who he was, and unable to understand what he could become. The exile represents someone who has failed in spite of their cleverness, skills, or strategic abilities, and who cannot understand why they have failed. It is a sign that the answers one seeks cannot be found within oneself, unless one accepts the reality of one's situation. So there is something here that you tend to be attached to, something in your past that may have been broken as a consequence of your actions, but this is why you may not see the answer, because you are afraid to go there. You are afraid to see yourself as part of the problem. Let's see what Kali has to say. She is such a powerful force to reckon with. Love isn't always pretty. Love is authentic and appreciates authenticity. Sometimes real love means you allow someone to make mistakes. Boundaries may be necessary to assist someone you love in the long run. Love is eternal. Acceptance and love can help you negotiate any transition, in particular ones that you are afraid of and hesitant to make. The Hindu god Shiva, the destroyer, sees Kali Ma, Kali Mother, for the first time. He fully takes in the sight. He trembles in fear, the awesomeness of her, for she is time itself. She is naked because she is infinite and has nothing to hide, as time is beautiful and terrible all at once. Shiva sees her open mouth and understands that everything depletes and changes before time, and time swallows everything eventually. The wonder of this process, the truth of her. He notices she wears a small hip skirt made from human hands, which represents all of our deeds and actions merging into time. She wears a necklace of skulls, which represents all human thoughts, which may be great or poor, worthy or unworthy. And these merge into time. She holds a cut head in one hand, representing the evil demons of all of our natures and negative destructive egos. And Shiva knows that these two will be suppressed and subdued by time. He sees her dancing on the flame and ashes blackening her body, and knows deeply that everything that is not needed can be purified through her. He realizes with shock that she is the compassion itself. Everything can be given to her, everything, all of it, and she will transform it. She is in her fierceness, the will to return all into love. Shiva sees her fully and loves her immediately. The plant companion for you, my love, group 4, is sandalwood, and your crystal companion is iron, the metal. So you will be loved for who you really are. You just have to have the courage to truly be a person, to individuate, and to no longer create this host-parasite relationships with powerful people in your life. Own up to your own power, group 4, because you are a magician, literally, if you just acknowledge this energy and start living it out in your life. I hope that this reading was helpful. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, take wonderful care of your beautiful heart. Bye-bye.